All right, so let's go straight into top artist. So this is your favourite player. She doesn't have to be the best player, just a player who has had an unforgettable story this season or entertained you week in, week out. So, Rach, who are you going for?
I found this really hard because I feel like as soon as last season ended, I just immediately put it out of my head. And then as soon as the Euros ended, I just put it out of my head. So I might be coloured a little bit from this season. It reminds me a bit of, you know, when you study for an exam and then you have all of the information, the exam's over, and then it's gone immediately. Never remember it ever again.
Who are they?
I feel like I'm a bit like that. But I think what I was trying to do was trying to pick someone who, yes, it might be clouded by this season, but, you know, did something in the summer. Maybe didn't win the Euros. I didn't want to immediately go for an England player, but did something in the summer.
You're not a glory hunter, are you, mate?
No, I'm Irish. And also, you know, maybe had some good moments in the second half of last season. So it might be a bit rogue, but I've gone with Viv Miedema.
Nice.
Obviously, it's slightly coloured by how well she has started the 2025-2026 season, that relationship with Bunny Shaw, but also in the summer hit her 100th goal for the Netherlands. You know, she did in the last window score 4 for the Netherlands. And also, I will always remember that second half of Manchester City Chelsea, where she didn't start the first half, she started the second half. And it was just such a great example of what an intelligent football player is, because she came off the bench and knew exactly what to do and how to pick apart Chelsea, and she was integral in that win. They did go on to lose the tie in the end, but when I just think back to some of those little moments and highlights, it's about players who have entertained me, and she is one of my favourite players to watch. And what I'm really enjoying is seeing how happy she is on the pitch. I think that's been a big part of how she's kind of finding her form again, because there was that silly talk from some fans that said she was past it and she wasn't going to reach.
How dare they?
Honest to God, wasn't going to reach that form again after her ACL injury, blah, blah, blah. And it's just wonderful to see her playing with a smile on her face, having those, you know, building those relationships at Manchester City. She's playing in the 10. She loves assisting, loves setting up goals, and she's doing that with Bunny Shaw. And it's just like they're being so prolific at the moment. So that's who I picked, and I found that a really difficult one, but I think she's a pretty good choice.
I think it's really nice to see a player find form again after such a catastrophic thing to happen. And I think especially when it's like later on in your career as well, you're not too sure how they're going to recover. Are they going to get back to being one of the world's greatest players? And I think
recovery isn't linear.
100%. And she's done that more than. And I just think you're completely right. You know that there was just there was an awful kind of like, there was footage and a video of like how upset she looked when she was at Arsenal and how kind of downtrodden that it looked like she felt. She wasn't exercising herself and being able to express herself in the way that I think she wanted to. And she's such a tactically astute player. And I feel with her time now, with especially under Andre Jeglos, I think he's been absolutely phenomenal in allowing her to kind of express herself again. I think like Viv's a bit like it's almost like a football artist in a way. There's like a precision to her that comes from like years and years of training and understanding and studying the game and understanding movement. And I think for her, when she delivers some of these passes that we now saw, like the game last week against Aston Villa, there was a beautiful ball that she played in that kind of led to the Virginia goal that you mentioned.
There was that one she did for Bunny Shaw, and it was like, it reminded me of that one she did for Blackstenius against Manchester United when she played for Arsenal. But it was that, and it didn't end in a goal, and it was such a beautiful pass. It deserved a goal, but it was just like those flashes of just like wow from a player, that genius from a player. And
I like in the Louvre.
Yeah, and I like what you said about Andre Jeglos. He spoke about her. I asked him about her in a previous press conference, and he said she's an amazing player. She's so clever at finding spaces. She can play in both those positions as a 9 and a 10, but she's very good at finding the right positions on the field. She's also tactically very good. We talk a lot of football with her. My job is to put her in positions and situations where she can express herself, and I think we've succeeded with that quite a lot. So I like a manager who can recognise that there's really tactically gifted players who can contribute, and it's not kind of, it's not a slight on you to say, actually, yeah, I'd love your opinion on this situation, and you're getting the best out of both worlds, I think.
100%. And I think like you've chosen someone who, I don't know, she hasn't been kind of like at the forefront of all the headlines this year, and not even so much last year at all, but I feel like there's that understatedness to what she does and the impact that she brings to the team, and there's such a class to her. So yeah, I really love that, mate. It wasn't the obvious choice, I don't think, for a lot of people, but it was definitely a very valid one. Really nice.
I'd like to hear yours, because I think it's a good one as well.
Oh, I mean, I've gone for an up and coming youngster, someone who has completely torn apart the rule book of like what youngsters should do at this age and this early in their career. You can tell by the excitement in my voice like how much this player means to me, because I've got to give it to Michelle Agyemang. I think she's been, and it probably is a bit of more of an obvious choice, I'd say, definitely. But you look at like her progress, especially over the last couple of years, and the loan spell that she had at Brighton, and how she's come on and developed, and really kind of like taken the ball by the horns and the opportunity that she's got. And I think she's got this lovely grounding in her family. They all care about her, and I think obviously in recent the last couple of months has been a really difficult one for her with the ACL. It's come at such an unfortunate time as she's kind of elevating and kind of progressing in her career. But you kind of look at what she's achieved already and the weight of expectation and the weight of demand and pressure that has been on her from such a young age. So not only obviously with Brighton, but she made her senior England debut, first international goal as well, making that debut in April 2025, and scored just 41 seconds into that match against Belgium, which is like the most incredible way to announce yourself on the world stage. It was just unbelievable. Then she was got the Golden Girl Award winner, honoured with the 2025 Golden Girl Award by Tuto Sports as the best female player under 21. Obviously, she had the contract with Arsenal, and Arsenal know that she's going to go on and do great things. So I think
girl.
she will return to Arsenal at some point once she's recovered and gone through all of that as well, and maybe build up some more experience with Brighton as well. So, and then we also have to talk about what she achieved at the Euros. I mean, the weight of expectation on the team, not just her. I don't think there was
on her.
And that's the thing. I think it's like no one was expecting that a youngster fresh into their WSL life
would get minutes
for the start. She was expected to essentially be there to pick up experience, learn from the more experienced players, be in this really, major tournament, atmosphere, and kind of just learn from that, and, know the graft and try and earn a place sort of, in the training grounds and things like that. But her coming on in the moments that she did at crucial points in the games where it literally was a do or die moment, and salvaging England's chances in the Euros. Had it not been for what she did in those games, we wouldn't be talking about the history that's been made for England, for English UK women's football. It's been absolutely phenomenal. And I think, I just think that's such a huge thing to have done.
And at her age, she's so humble, she's so grounded, and that couldn't have been better exemplified than after her first goal against Belgium, when she went straight in the back of the net and picked up the ball and brought it. She didn't even take time to celebrate.
Such maturity.
Like, that's incredible. And I think, again, that's a lot to do with her family around her, I think is really important. But I also think having a manager like a Sarina Wiegman who will say, I don't bring players to a major tournament unless I believe they can contribute. Even if they might not, she trusts that they will. And then to turn around to her in those key moments and go on, you're the one I'm calling upon to help us. And rather than that be like a really kind of high intensity, high stress moment for her, it's almost like she takes that and goes, well, if you believe in me, then I can absolutely go. Like, I believe in me.
Bag.
Yeah, 100%. So love that. I love that. And I think maybe different ends of the scales, right? Where you've got a player who's been and is world class in, I'm not going to say the latter stages of her career, 'cause she's only 28, because she's not 29. She's mature. She's come back from an injury and she's back at the top again. And then you've got this youngster who's gonna be a world-class player. So I love that kind of two ends of the spectrum of our choices.
100% in terms of kind of the experience, the youth, but both kind of in the same space and kind of creating these magical moments that we've seen over the past year. So yeah, I think they're really nice choices, mate.
Well done, us.
Yeah, it's almost like we know what we're talking about, and that's so
It's
wild.
funny because you wrote yourself off in last week's episode. So
yeah, true story. All right, let's go to the most watched moment. This is just a specific moment you watched most this year. It could be a goal, a tackle, a moment of madness, anything that you replayed the most on social media. What took over space in your head rent-free, essentially? Rach, what are you going for?
Agyemang!
Copying me somewhat?
A little bit. There's a couple of options where that could have happened. I know, obviously, she scored in the Sweden game, and that was huge. That was the second goal. That was massive. The Italy one, the timing of it, the fact that we felt like Sarina brought her on too late, that it looked like it was gone, that it literally had to be the final dying seconds. And I love those commentary moments that get replayed and replayed and replayed. And that was one of them. I want you to play it.
Now to send it in. Terrific ball. Goalkeeper spills it. Agyemang! That's world medal for England. The latest.
That just gives me goosebumps even now.
Honestly, I had to close my eyes.
Like, I will watch that back. Like, I can feel myself in the stadium, and that was when I got the shot of the bench. You know, when everyone, the families, the bench explodes, and maybe Finn will drop that photo in now if you're watching on YouTube. But that, I know obviously the final, and I know the Sweden game, and there's so many moments that you can pick. But that one, I was fully like, they've missed their chance. And the thing is, that didn't even guarantee them to go through. It just meant they were playing extra time. And then, you know, so I don't know. It was just, yeah, that one for me. I don't know how many times I've watched that.
I think it was just how much it meant. We had gone through so much of a roller coaster in that tournament, you know, losing the first game. There was such a kind of there was a creeping negative narrative that was happening with the Lionesses because
people being negative about the Lionesses, never.
because they weren't always firing all cylinders. You know, we were scraping through you know, these wins, these knockout stages, and it kind of just felt like there was a belief then, because we kept doing it so continuously, so consistently, almost like just pulling it out the bag at the last minute. And Agyemang was such a massive part of that. But you know, we just think like, this is it. We're done. You know, our luck's run dry. Like,
yeah,
you know,
I thought that
we're exhausted. We've come so far, and we've had a good run considering how squeaky bum time it's been for the entire thing. And then
they can't do it again.
Pump like our Lord Saviour Michelle Agyemang, MBE worthy, delivering the goods, and you just think like, I think I lost. Like I stopped breathing. I think I was just like, we fucking haven't. We've not done this again. What the hell?
Do you remember I was like fully convinced I had an ulcer during that tournament?
The stress was crazy.
Well, the good thing is, it's not like we have another stressful option coming up, do we, Chloe? What's your pick?
I have got to go with Chloe Kelly's Euro winning penalty. Another goosebump moment for me. I've got to listen to it again.
It's Kelly. Hammers it home!
Oh my God, she's knocking stuff off the bloody wall. She's so excited. I love that it's Robin Cowan, and I love RBF in the background.
You always, like, where were you? Because it's one of those moments you always know exactly where you were.
Fucking behind the goal shooting it, wasn't
Literally,
I?
like, you know exactly, like, you know what was around you, you know what the light was like, you know, like, what you were doing, how you celebrated, like, everything around that. It's like the birth of your first child.
I wouldn't
like,
know.
it's like, it's that energy.
I felt weirdly isolated in that moment because
What?
I was not around any photographers that I knew, right? Like, you're out, you're trying to find your spot. Like, you're going through with Sophie, who was in the press box next to Susie, with someone she knows, in a press box of people she knows. And I'm like, same thing happened in 2022. Like, I don't have anybody around me that I know. And you're just going, no, but it's a mental kind of like up and down where we were trying to message each. I'm trying to bring you into this, bitch. My phone's blowing up from everybody at home watching it, just being like, what the fuck? Who's this? Blah, blah. We're messaging each other going, it's not possible. They're going to do it again. And like, you just stood there going, like, insane.
So She's a Baller had put on a party at a really lovely townhouse in central London, and obviously it was, you know, it was a brand partnership thing, and we have done quite a few watch-alongs this year, and this was the only one that we had to get security involved in, and the reason for that was because I jumped on the sofas, effectively ruining whether we were going to get our deposit back, and I just remember thinking, it's worth it. Like, everything about, like, my mum and dad were there, my partner were there,
again?
like some of my like biggest like football fan friends were there, and like there was just like the band exploded. It was like Sweet Caroline everywhere. It was like, how have we done this? And it wasn't. It felt like there was a different energy to it than the 2022, because that was like, we had gone so long without winning, and this time we'd gone into it having felt a win in recent years, and like. But it was history again, that we'd done it back to back, that against all odds, against all of those situations that we thought we were out. It was one of those Emma Hayes classics. It's never fucking done. It was that vibe. And it was just Chloe Kelly. I can't even imagine
standing
how
there,
it must have felt. Yeah, waiting for that whistle to blow and knowing exactly what would happen on different outcomes. Because it kind of felt like if she hadn't, it was Spain's. Like that's it. You change the course of history,
but it's all how it, like
in one kick.
The amount of things that have to happen for it to be her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what are the chances of all of those, because she's always on the 5th penalty.
Yep.
What are the chances of all of those variables happening for it to be Chloe again?
Agreed. And the run up, it's the most
the roll back of the ball 3 times,
like the amount of people afterwards who were doing the iconic kind of Chloe Kelly stunted
the Ghanaian players
run-up.
were doing it during that friendly afterwards. They were getting their photo taken with Chloe, and one of the girls was doing it. It was so cute.
Absolutely massive. And obviously the lead on from that, you've got the Lionesses parade, the celebration of fans go down, towards Buckingham Palace. It was just beautiful.
Yeah.
It was absolutely beautiful and all creative from that moment. So
Good choice.
Some absolutely big ones there, like goosebump inducing moments there. All right, number 3, biggest hit. This is your new favourite arrival in the WSL, whether it be a player or a manager. Go on, Rach.
Well, last year I picked Brighton boss Daria Vidicic. This year I'm picking Manchester City boss Andrea Jeglerts.
Very nice.
I think there was a little bit of unsureness when he was appointed, just purely because he was coming off the back of, I think he was appointed before Denmark even started, but Denmark did terribly at the Euros. I don't think they picked up a point. People were kind of a bit like, oh God, is this the right person? And
Who goes here, newcomer?
Quite. And but then also it makes you go, actually, international or managing a national team versus managing a domestic league team is very, very different. And he's been a breath of fresh air. I've really enjoyed how he's engaged with the media. He's really open. He's very giving in his answers. He's not afraid to chat tactically about things. He doesn't kind of keep that really close to his chest. He's obviously been, given that Man City team a new lease of life. And, there's a real, not that they weren't together before, but there is a real togetherness. And I think he's clearly a big part of that. And I really enjoy how we're getting those insights into his halftime talks or his full-time talks. I just think that's so interesting. He's quite transparent. And I think that's quite refreshing. And, I touched on with Viv Miedema that he's a manager who kind of welcomes that. And we've seen other managers that maybe have a bit more of an ego previously, who maybe don't appreciate a player who's maybe got opinions on tactics or, wants to give their insight on things. And I really rate his ability to kind of welcome that. I just think it's been a really great addition.
I really like that, mate. I really, really like that. And I think it feels like he's getting the best out of the players. It feels like they're getting back to kind of like this lovely, the winning mentality that always helps in terms of having that positivity around the changing room, but also just that the players are being allowed there's a trust that he has in the players to go out
to express themselves.
100%.
Kirsten Kasper said that in our interview with her. And the other thing, he looks like Christoph Waltz, the actor. So Finn, maybe you'd put that picture up of Christoph Waltz next to Andrea Jeglerts for those watching on YouTube. But
nice.
When I first saw him pitch side at the Denmark-Sweden game, I remember messaging Sophie being like, oh my God, he looks so like him. So there's another little tidbit for you.
That's really lovely, Rach. What a lovely, lovely thing to end on there. Mine has got to be Olivia Smith. I can't say how much I think I've gone for like a very young player skew in these kind of choices. But I think you look at the impact that she was starting to make at Liverpool. Obviously had this huge kind of the pressure around her again. I think it's these youngsters in pressurised situations and how much confidence they have to just ride it out and just like not let it faze them at all. Obviously, she completed that historic move from Liverpool to Arsenal in July 2025. World record, £1 million on her head. Everyone's thinking, this kid is good at Liverpool, but does she have what it takes to really compete with like the big dogs on the Arsenal with the Arsenal bench? And then she picks up PFA Women's Young Player of the Year for the 24-25 season. Loads of goals of the month that she's been in contention for and won multiple Player of the Month awards at Liverpool prior to obviously her time at Arsenal. And I think every time she gets on the ball, I just feel like there's this, and it's carried through obviously to this season as well. There's been this consistency in like how direct she is, how much how goal hungry she is. I mean, the amount of times that we've seen situations where she just cuts in and fires these screamers, and it feels like the players aren't really learning from this because she keeps doing these like very template goals over and over again.
I was going to say she's not scored many yet for Arsenal, but the ones she has scored, bloody hell,
100%. And I just there's a passion that I see to her. Like she's enjoying life with Arsenal, and I think she's been like one of those players that I really like look out for when I go and see the games. In the box, obviously. And then I had a slight other one, but it seemed a little bit unfair because obviously Alyssa Thompson has only been in the WSL for a matter of seconds.
No, but man, what an impact.
But my God, if this was like a half player of the season, it would be her all day because I just find her the most fascinating player to watch in terms of like the directness, the impact that she's made, like how she is just willing to shoot from any opportunity. It doesn't matter where it is, doesn't matter how far it is. She drives with the ball. I love her style of play. I absolutely love it. I could watch her all day. Yeah,
Right, that.
So
Love it.
yeah, cheeky one for Alyssa Thompson there, but Olivia Smith all day, my absolute wonder kid.